morning, Asia. Good evening, America. You're watching World DNA, a show that gets you ahead of the rest. I'm Jyotsna Kumar.
And I am Adya Juneja. And today we will be focusing on deadly drone and missile strikes which are intensifying across Russia and Ukraine. Killed at least 19 people as Moscow and Kiev target civilian and industrial infrastructure. With the front line largely stalled and peace talks frozen, while both sides are expanding long-range attacks, pushing the war into a dangerous new phase. Well, this and a lot more on the show today.
Well, also on the show, a fresh U.S. push to revive the Gaza peace plan as Jared Kushner meets Hamas leader Khalil al-Hayya in Egypt. Now, Hamas backs the roadmap. Israel rejects it. And Ben-Gvir demands intensified killings in Gaza. Regional powers are pressing Israel while strikes continue, putting Trump's peace effort under mounting pressure. We'll get you all the updates on that and much more. Let's begin with the headlines.
U.S. President Donald Trump says he is unhappy with U.S.-South Korea military exercises, citing good ties with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and South Korea's non-participation in the Iran war.
Israel's far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir says Israeli forces should kill 30 to 40 people in Gaza every night and target those beyond individuals posing a direct threat. As U.S. envoy Jared Kushner meets a Hamas leader to advance the peace plan.
At least 7 people killed in Russia after what officials described as the largest scale attack launched by Ukraine this year.
Two dead, several others injured as fast-moving wildfires sweep through the Greek island of Salamina, west of Athens.
Hundreds of people in Pakistan took part in nationwide protests and marches organized by Jamaat-e-Islami against rising fuel prices, high taxes and soaring inflation.
Jharkhand government invites students protesting over alleged irregularities in a recruitment examination for a fresh round of talks. Students say they would attend the meeting in the presence of their legal advisor.
Asian markets traded cautiously as investors remained focused on the Iran conflict and disruption in the Strait of Hormuz. Oil prices stayed elevated, keeping inflation risks in focus, while expectations of a September Fed rate hike continued to ease.
India are set to begin day 3 of their first test match against Sri Lanka in Galle with an overnight score of 460 runs for the loss of 9 wickets. Kuldeep Yadav and Prasidh Krishna will carry on from where they left off on day 2.
Well, U.S. President Donald Trump says he is unhappy with American participation in joint military exercises with South Korea and has ordered the drills substantially reduced.
Now, the move comes as the annual exercises aimed at deterring nuclear-armed North Korea begin, despite Seoul saying they will proceed as scheduled. Trump made the announcement on Truth Social, saying the exercises are costly and send an inappropriate and hostile signal to Pyongyang. He said it was too late to cancel the drills, but ordered Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to substantially reduce U.S. participation.
Well, he also noted on Truth Social that South Korea had recently declined to join the U.S. in the denuclearization of Iran. Now, the 11-day Ulchi Freedom Shield exercise begins on Monday and is designed to prepare U.S. and South Korean forces for a potential North Korean attack. Now, South Korea's defense ministry says the exercises will proceed as previously planned. The United States has around 28,500 troops stationed in South Korea, and roughly 18,000 South Korean troops and U.S. forces are taking part in this year's drill. Now, the exercise will focus on threats including drone warfare, GPS disruption, and cyber attacks.
Well, North Korea has long condemned the drills as invasion rehearsals, while the U.S. and South Korea described them as defensive. Trump's comments also revived questions over his North Korean strategy. Now, during his first term, Trump held talks with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, but negotiations failed to halt Pyongyang's nuclear program.
Since then, North Korea has expanded its nuclear and missile capabilities and deepened military ties with Russia, including reportedly sending troops and ammunition to support Moscow's war in Ukraine. The South Korean leader and President Lee Jae-myung has offered Pyongyang talks without preconditions, but North Korea has yet to respond.
We have some breaking news just coming in. An earthquake of magnitude 5.9 has jolted Flores region in Indonesia.
Now, the tremor was shallow, striking at a depth of just 10 kilometers.
Now, this comes only days after a powerful magnitude 7.7 earthquake tore through the same region on 15th of August. It had left at least 53 people dead and widespread destruction in its wake.
Now, that quake was centered roughly 68 kilometers north-northwest of Endi in East Nusa Tenggara province, also at a depth of around 10 kilometers.
Now, over 230 aftershocks had followed on the island that day alone, with the strongest hitting magnitude 6.2. For people just joining in, there has been an earthquake with magnitude 5.9 jolted Flores region, Indonesia.
Now, this latest jolt comes only days after a powerful magnitude 7.7 earthquake which tore through the same region on 15th of August, leaving at least 53 people dead and widespread destruction in its wake.
Now, the epicenter is told to be with a depth of 10 kilometers, and it was initially determined to be at 8.57 degrees south latitude and 121.55 degrees east longitude in the region. As of now, this is the quake that have now struck at the depth of 10 kilometers in Flores region in Indonesia.
Well, a renewed U.S. diplomatic push to end the Gaza war is underway, with President Donald Trump's envoy Jared Kushner meeting Hamas leader Khalil al-Hayya in Egypt.
Now, the talks come against a backdrop of continued Israeli strikes and explosive comments from far-right Israeli National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, who has now called for the killing of 30 to 40 people in Gaza every night. Now, Jared Kushner met Hamas leader Khalil al-Hayya on Sunday in Egypt. This was in an effort to revive President Trump's Gaza peace plan. And sources familiar with the talks say Kushner pressed Hamas for concrete and verifiable steps toward disarmament, which has been a key demand of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
The Hamas reaffirmed its commitment to the plan and called on mediators at Trump's Board of Peace to pressure Israel to approve the roadmap and establish a timetable for implementation.
The meeting was held in El Alamein with representatives from Egypt, Qatar and Turkey also involved. Kushner separately met Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to discuss efforts to end the war. He and U.S. envoy Nikolai Mladenov are expected to meet Netanyahu on Monday.
But while Washington pushes for a diplomatic breakthrough, Israel's far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir is demanding a much more aggressive military approach. In comments published on Sunday, Ben-Gvir said he disagreed with Netanyahu's decision to scale back Israeli strikes. He also advocated targeted killings of 30 to 40 people in Gaza every night, saying the targets should not be limited to people posing an immediate threat.
Ben-Gvir also said he considers Gaza Israeli territory and called for Israeli settlements to be established across the enclave, alongside encouraging Palestinians to leave. Now, the comments come as Israel and Hamas remain divided over the U.S. peace roadmap.
Now, the plan calls for Hamas to disarm Israeli forces to halt operations and eventually withdraw, and Gaza to be rebuilt under a new civilian Palestinian administration. Now, Netanyahu has rejected the latest proposal, saying Israel will not fully withdraw until Hamas is completely disarmed.
Meanwhile, Israeli strikes have continued in Gaza. Gaza's health ministry, or health officials, says more than 1,200 Palestinians have been killed since the October 10th ceasefire began. Israel says its strikes are targeting militants and that it takes steps to limit civilian casualties. Regional pressure is also growing.
Egypt, Qatar, Turkey, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Pakistan and Indonesia have condemned Israel's rejection of the plan. Now, the diplomatic effort moves to Jerusalem, where Kushner is expected to meet Netanyahu.
Staying with West Asia, which continues to remain on edge as the Houthi rebels launched several strikes in Yemen in recent days.
The visuals that you will see on your screen now shows the aftermath of the missile strike that has left a massive crater in a residential area of the city. Furthermore, the attacks have also left homes and buildings severely damaged as residents recall their experience in the aftermath of the strikes.
We were having dinner, my son, his wife, his children and I, when suddenly we heard a missile land nearby. We are displaced people living here where we thought we were safe, and suddenly a missile landed near us. The windows shattered, parts of the ceiling fell on us, and shards of glass fell on the children.
Following this, a military source quoted by the Yemeni news agency Sabah has said that the Houthis targeted Saudi enemy military enforcements in Mocha and Marib with a number of ballistic missiles and drones. The report stated that the strikes have been precise and direct. It said that the attacks have led to a lot of casualties as well. Furthermore, several Saudi enemy weapons depot and storage facilities have also been destroyed in the strikes.
Well, following this, the Saudi Civil Defense Agency has warned of a potential danger in the southern Jazan province, which is located along the border region of Yemen. In recent weeks, the Houthi rebels have frequently targeted the energy and petroleum installations in the Jazan province.
Meanwhile, the Yemeni military said it has carried out 181 military operations in the last 24 hours, targeting Houthi military positions across various fronts.
Well, in a statement, the Yemeni armed forces said that the operations have destroyed weapons depot, equipment and military vehicles, while adding that dozens of Houthi fighters have also been killed.
In other developments, Iran's parliament speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf has said that the country has managed to secure a victory against the United States and Israel, both politically and militarily. In a meeting with reporters, Ghalibaf added that both U.S. and Israel failed to achieve any of their objectives.
Well, moving on now, Russia-Ukraine continues to exchange strikes with at least 19 killed in the last 24 hours.
The warring countries have significantly stepped up long-range attacks deep behind each other's lines, pushing the civilian death toll to its highest levels since the war's first months in 2022.
In Russia, swarms of Ukrainian drones killed 5 people in a residential area of the southern Rostov region. 3 more people were killed in the Belgorod region, Kursk region and Moscow, along with 4 others in parts of Ukraine occupied by Russia.
Moscow's regional governor Andrei Vorobyov have described the assault as one of the most massive drone attacks in recent memory. Russia's defense ministry said it had intercepted 822 drones across the country overnight.
In Ukraine, a barrage of Russian drones and missiles killed 2 people and wounded 14 at ArcelorMittal's steel plant in Kryvyi, which is President Volodymyr Zelensky's hometown. Now, the plant, one of Ukraine's biggest steel producers, said it partially halted operations after the strike damaged its core production facilities.
Another strike hit Kryvyi on Sunday evening, killing 1 person. Strikes also hit other regions, killing 2 people in southeastern Zaporizhia region, 1 in the border region of Sumy, and another in Donetsk in the east.
Zelensky condemned the strikes in a post on X, claiming that Russia strikes civilian infrastructure wherever they can reach with their ballistic missiles. Well, over the past week, he said Ukrainian cities had been plumbed by more than 1,550 attack drones, nearly 1,560 guided aerial bombs, and 62 missiles, as he renewed his appeal to allies for more air defense.
Indian origin flight Lieutenant Arshdeep Singh Dung has made history in the British Royal Air Force as he becomes the first Sikh to earn RAF fighter pilot wings.
Well, in the post-World War II era, now the 28-year-old was born in Chandigarh and moved to the UK with his family at the age of 6. Dung joined the British Royal Air Force in 2021 and graduated from officer training in February 2022. He completed elementary flying training in 2023 before being streamed to fast jet training in 2024. He began fast jet lead-in training in March 2025 and passed his wings test in July 2026.
Now said he wants his achievements to inspire others. He has described his success as a way of continuing the long military tradition of Sikhs in Britain.
Well, World War II also saw Sikh pilots serve with the RAF. Squadron leader Mohinder Singh Puji was among the Indian pilots who served with RAF squadrons.
Dung will undergo further training before becoming a frontline fighter pilot before flying operational fighter missions. He is also reportedly the only pilot of Indian origin in his training badge. His story connects a modern Royal Air Force career with a century-long history of Sikh service in British military aviation.
The rapid depletion of the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve during the Iran war has triggered fresh concerns about the long-term health of the underground caverns that store the country's emergency crude supplies.
And according to data released by the U.S. Department of Energy, the SPR has fallen below 300 million barrels for the first time since it was filled in the early 1980s. The reserve is expected to decline further to nearly 243 million barrels after the latest emergency release is completed. The United States has released 172 million barrels from the reserve to offset supply disruptions caused by the Iran war.
However, energy experts warn that repeatedly drawing down the stockpile could permanently damage the caverns that hold the crude. The SPR stores oil in 60 salt caverns located thousands of feet underground across 4 sites along the Gulf Coast in Texas and Louisiana. Now, these caverns were originally designed for just 5 complete drawdown cycles, but they have been used for dozens of large and small releases over the past 4 decades.
Former Biden administration energy advisor Amos Hochstein has warned that inventories below 300 million barrels could threaten both operational efficiency and the structural integrity of the caverns.
Well, below that level, the reserve loses its ability to pump oil rapidly during emergencies. Thinning oil layers can expose pumps and pipes to sludge, increasing the risk of equipment damage. A report by the Government Accountability Office in May highlighted similar concerns, noting that repeated drawdowns followed by refilling can repeatedly erode specific sections of the cavern, creating undesirable formations. Although the GAO found that most caverns remained in very good condition after the 2022 drawdown, it warned that every release cycle expands cavern volume and reduces spacing between caverns, weakening their long-term viability.
The Energy Department has rejected claims that the caverns are at risk of collapse, arguing that the storage sites remain full because water replaces the oil that is removed. However, the debate over how far the reserve can safely decline is likely to intensify as inventories continue to approach historic lows. Japan is preparing for a decline in its heavy reliance on Chinese tourists this summer season.
Now, observers are hoping that visitors from other Asian nations and European travelers will compensate for the drop in Chinese demand due to deteriorating diplomatic relations between both the nations.
Now, Chinese visitors have dropped 56.4% in the first half of the year due to political tensions and travel advisories following Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi's remarks on Taiwan. Now, total foreign visitors from January to June reached an estimated 21.08 million, which is down just 2.0% from the record set in 2025. A weekend and surging arrivals from South Korea, Taiwan, Southeast Asia, Europe, and the U.S. successfully offset the drop in Chinese travelers. Surprisingly, foreign visitors' spend on accommodation and shopping has risen by 1.3% to a first-half record of 4.85 trillion yen, which is about $30.4 billion.
Although Japanese outbound travel remains well below pre-pandemic levels, with 6.94 million travelers recorded in the first half of the year compared to 14.73 million total in 2025 and over 20 million in 2019. Rising domestic prices, a weak yen increasing overseas costs, and high aviation fuel surcharges have kept the demand tepid for foreign travel. Now, the Japanese government has reduced passport application fees in the month of July to stimulate outbound travel. Now, physicists at Rutgers University have discovered an unusual quantum state.
The quantum state that does not fit into the everyday categories of solid, liquid, gas, or plasma. Now, the breakthrough came from the boundary or interface between two different quantum materials. The discovery came from the interface between two exotic magnetic materials, a vile semi-metal and a magnetic insulator known as spin ice.
Now, the team studied the materials at extremely low temperatures and under very strong magnetic fields. When the two materials were brought together, the researchers found something that does not appear in either material by itself.
They observed a distinctive six-fold pattern in electrical conductivity. And in simple terms, the material's ability to carry electricity changed depending on the direction of the magnetic field. As the magnetic field became even stronger, the six-fold pattern eventually collapsed into a two-fold pattern. Now, this is known as rotational symmetry breaking. It means that the system, which initially behaved similarly in six different directions, began to prefer just two directions. And the change is important because it points to a many-body quantum state, where large numbers of particles interact with each other and produce behavior that cannot be explained by looking at individual particles alone.
Now, this suggests that scientists can create new quantum phenomena by carefully combining different materials, even when those materials have very different properties on their own. Well, in the future, such interfaces could help scientists develop new ways to control electric and magnetic properties, potentially opening new possibilities for quantum technologies.
Archaeologists studying a 700-year-old skeleton found at Stirling Castle in Scotland have discovered something astonishing.
A medieval soldier with over 160 bone fractures, whose injuries look identical to modern-day car crash victims, was struck by a medieval-age slingshot called trebuchet, now unearthed back in 1997 and recently analyzed by bioarchaeologist Joe Buckberry. But the skeleton belonged to a man who died between ages 22 and 34. And during the wars of Scottish independence. He suffered over 160 massive blunt force fractures, mostly on his skull and ribs. Because there were no sword or hand-to-hand combat wounds, experts realized he wasn't killed in a traditional battlefield duel.
Now, the extreme velocity and crushing nature of the damage suggests he was struck from behind by a massive high-speed projectile, making the first known archaeological evidence that the trebuchet trauma. According to experts, his death would have been instantaneous. A trebuchet is not a standard catapult, but is a massive siege engine that relies on gravity and is linked to hurl heavy objects over long distances. And during the 1304 siege of Stirling Castle, English King Edward I used the War Wolf, the largest wooden trebuchet ever built, to crush Scotland's final stronghold. Time for a very short break on World Data. For now, news and updates will follow on the other side. You're watching WION for this one. Please stay tuned.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Kohler Spa at home.
Robots sparring for a fight, not for entertainment or for sport. Surgical arms that can feel to give surgeons a sense of touch. Traditional warships are facing flotillas of unmanned vessels. The smartwatch is passé, smart bands are just as effective at monitoring health. Put a ring on it this week on Take It Out at these times.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Kohler Spa at home.
Robots sparring for a fight, not for entertainment or for sport. Surgical arms that can feel to give surgeons a sense of touch. Traditional warships are facing flotillas of unmanned vessels. The smartwatch is passé, smart bands are just as effective at monitoring health. Put a ring on it this week on Take It Out at these times.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Kohler Spa at home.
Thanks for staying with us. You're watching WION World as One, and this is World DNA. I'm Adna Juneja and my colleague Jyotsna Kumar. Let's start with the headlines.
New 5.9 magnitude earthquake hits Indonesia's slurs days after 7.7 magnitude tremor killed at least 53 and caused widespread destruction.
US President Donald Trump says he is unhappy with US-South Korea military exercises, citing good ties with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and South Korea's non-participation in the Iran war.
US President welcomes defense pact between Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Pakistan, calling it a sign of West Asia uniting and countries gaining greater capacity to defend themselves.
Israel's far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir says Israeli forces should kill 30 to 40 people in Gaza every night and target those beyond individuals posing a direct threat, as US envoy Jared Kushner meets a Hamas leader to advance the peace plan.
Oil prices hold steady at nearly $89 per barrel after rising over 5% last week as hopes for a lasting US-Iran peace deal fade. Concerns over attacks on tankers and disruption in shipping through the Strait of Hormuz continue supporting prices and geopolitical risk premiums.
More than 700 trucks carrying international humanitarian aid arrives in Afghanistan via Pakistan despite a near-total closure of the land border between the two countries. Following clashes in October, the United Nations says.
The National Testing Agency is set to reconduct the UGC NET exam for English, Sociology and Commerce, a senior NTA official says. The official says that the NTA has decided to reconduct these exams after receiving many complaints regarding errors in the question papers.
Portugal star footballer Cristiano Ronaldo said that he could retire at the end of the current season. The 41-year-old added that this year could probably be his last.
The public anger over rising petrol prices, inflation, and heavy taxation split onto the streets of Pakistan.
Well, hundreds of people took part in nationwide protests against the Shehbaz Sharif government.
Islamist political party Jamaat-e-Islami called for a nationwide protest demanding relief from taxes. Protest marches were held in Karachi, Lahore, Peshawar, and Quetta cities as part of a widening campaign against high petroleum levy.
We are the people of Pakistan protesting here in Lahore on Mar Road against levy charges and extra taxes on petroleum products. We demand from the government of Pakistan, please release and minimize the levy charges and minimize the taxes on petroleum masnuat. We are Jamaat-e-Islami Pakistan and demanding from government, please give relief the people from taxes.
The demonstrations also highlighted local public concerns and called on the government to provide relief measures for citizens struggling with the rising cost of living. Protesters carried banners and placards chanting slogans against inflation and increasing petroleum prices. The party leaders said the growing economic burden on ordinary people has made it difficult for many families to meet their daily needs.
As long as they continue to collect this levy tax, Pakistan's economy cannot improve. We have come with this demand and are sitting in this sit-in, and God willing, we will not get up until the Amir of Jamaat-e-Islami Pakistan gives us the next course of action, and until the government agrees to end the collection of this levy tax.
Petrol prices have been raised to 325.43 Pakistani rupees per litre, while high-speed diesel prices have gone up to 383.95 Pakistani rupees per litre. According to the Petroleum Division's notification cited by reports, the government continues to levy 114 Pakistani rupees per litre in taxes and duties on petrol and 100 Pakistani rupees per litre on diesel.
Well, as the student protests intensify across Jharkhand over the alleged irregularities in the recruitment exams, the Hemant Soren government has taken steps to end the deadlock.
The Jharkhand government has invited the protesting students for a dialogue on 17th of August at 2 p.m. local time in a bid to resolve the ongoing recruitment row. Students have accepted the proposal and will be allowed to attend the talks with their legal advisors.
The students have been invited to hold talks with their legal advisors at 2 p.m. We have come here to request to the students to come and engage in dialogue.
Earlier, the protesters burned the effigies of Jharkhand Chief Minister Hemant Soren and Congress leader Rahul Gandhi, accusing the ruling establishment of ignoring their concerns. Now, the students are demanding action over alleged irregularities in examinations conducted by the Jharkhand Public Service Commission and Jharkhand Staff Selection Commission.
Now, their key demands include the cancellation of the two recruitment bodies, a CBI probe into the alleged irregularities, and if their demands are not met, the resignation of Chief Minister Hemant Soren. An ultimatum was issued by the protesters to the state government to respond by 18th of August. The failure to act could trigger a major mobilization at the Chief Minister's residence on 20th of August. Well, student leaders even went on to say that the Vidhan Sabha Gherav that took place on 10th of August was a preview of what would follow.
Well, the ongoing protest also drew support from actor and reality show star Kunika Sadananand, who joined the aspirants at Ranchi's Jaipal Singh Munda Stadium and appealed to the government to be transparent and accountable.
My message is to the government that please be transparent, please be accountable, listen to these children. They are asking for opportunity, which is their right. They are not your enemies. And my message to students is that in overnight, you cannot sort out an issue which is going on for 20 years. So they must give the government time.
Meanwhile, student leader Devendra Nath Mato, who has been on an indefinite hunger strike since 2nd of August, alleges that he was prevented by police from leaving hospital and was assaulted. Soren's government says it remains committed to transparent recruitment and has launched an initiative to seek student suggestions.
From restaurant kitchens to quick commerce warehouses, food safety is under intense scrutiny across India.
Now, recent inspections have uncovered everything from poor hygiene and pest infestations to expired food and labeling violations. Now, in recent inspections, authorities in Karnataka has found expired meat, mushrooms, and other perishable items at hotels in Mysuru and Mangaluru. A Mangaluru KFC outlet was also sealed after officials investigated a complaint about spoiled chicken.
Now, Uttar Pradesh government has cracked down on analog dairy products including paneer, ghee, khoya, cream and chena. Now, the state has moved to stop the manufacture, storage and sale of these products. Now, the move comes amid concerns over products being sold as dairy items without meeting prescribed food safety standards.
Now, the problem is not limited to expired food. Maharashtra's state food safety chief has intensified a crackdown on the food and grocery industries. The chief suspended the permits of 12 warehouses of Indian grocery giants, including Eternal, Swiggy and Zepto, after finding cockroach infestations and other unhygienic conditions.
But food safety is not only about what inspectors find, it is also about what happens after a violation is detected. A comptroller and auditor general audit found that FSSAI's eastern region had not levied penalties worth 5.60 crore rupees on food businesses that failed to file or delayed mandatory returns. Now, the recent crackdown has squarely put focus on the fact that food safety cannot end with an inspection. It has to begin with accountability, continue through the supply chain and finally reach the consumer's plate. So the question we need to ask is, how safe is the food that reaches our plates and is enforcement keeping it up?
U.S. President Donald Trump has lauded Turkey, Pakistan and Saudi Arabia for signing the Mecca Joint Defense Agreement.
Now, this as Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said that Egypt could become the fourth country joining the defense pact. Well, in a post on Truth Social, the U.S. President Trump said that he is very happy to see that Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Pakistan have signed the Mecca Joint Defense Agreement. Trump said that the agreement showed how West Asia is coming together and how countries are coming together to defend themselves in a very meaningful way. Now, President Trump congratulated the leaders of the three nations while also calling it as a big, bold and important step.
Meanwhile, Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has said that Egypt could be the fourth country joining the defense agreement. Speaking to Al Jazeera, Erdogan said the Mecca Joint Defense Agreement between Turkey, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan remains open to new members. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan has already expressed hope that Cairo could join once a few technical issues are resolved.
However, Egypt is taking a cautious approach. Foreign Minister Badr Abdulati says Cairo is studying the possibility very seriously, but must first assess its implications for Egypt's constitution and existing legal commitments.
Now, for Egypt, formally joining a binding military alliance would mark a major shift from its traditional strategy of maintaining security partnerships with multiple powers while avoiding entangling defense commitments. Signed in Mecca on August 7th, the pact says an armed attack against one signatory will be treated as an attack against all three, a provision drawing comparisons with NATO's Article 5. But Islamabad has pushed back on the NATO comparison, insisting that the pact is not directed against any particular country. The formation of this alliance takes place as the region faces multiple flashpoints.
Well, we have some breaking news that is coming in at this hour. At least 7 have been killed, dozens injured after a stampede-like incident at a temple in Bihar's Lakhisarai. The tragic incident came amid overcrowding as thousands of pilgrims gathered on 3rd of Monday of the auspicious Sawan month. Ashok Dham is a famous temple which is dedicated to Lord Shiva.
All right, for people just joining in, we have some breaking news coming in. At least 7 have been killed and dozens injured after a stampede-like incident has occurred at a temple in Bihar's Lakhisarai. Now, this incident came amid this overcrowding that is taking place as thousands of pilgrims gathered on 3rd Monday of the auspicious Sawan month. Now, this place, Ashok Dham, is a famous temple dedicated to Lord Shiva where this incident has taken place.
The panic erupted through the surging crowds following sudden intense pressure and barrier congestion compounded by safety concerns, plunging the holy site into chaos. Local administration, police and rescue teams have rushed to the scene to handle emergency operations, to move the injured to nearby hospitals and bring the volatile situation under control as further details are continuing to emerge. Well, this is the breaking news that is coming in at this hour for our viewers who have just joined. At least 7 people have been killed and dozens of others injured following a stampede-like incident at the renowned Ashok Dham temple in Bihar's Lakhisarai district. Well, Japan is finally seeing something policymakers spent decades trying to create: sustained inflation, rising wages and an economy moving away from its long deflationary era. But there's a problem.
Now, for many Japanese pensioners, the so-called economic revival is being felt not as prosperity, but as a higher cost of living. Prices have been rising faster than many older households can comfortably absorb, creating a political backlash and exposing a deeper divide over who is actually benefiting from Japan's economic turnaround. Take a look at our next report to give more details on this. For years, Japan had the opposite problem. Prices barely moved and deflation became a defining feature of the economy. Now the equation has flipped. Consumer inflation has remained above 2% for roughly 3 years, driven particularly by food prices. For the Bank of Japan, that is a major change. Its target is a 2% inflation, and policymakers now see signs that rising wages and prices are beginning to reinforce each other. But what looks positive in an economic report can feel very different at the checkout counter. Food prices have been a particular source of pain. In one recent survey, nearly 200 major food manufacturers were expected to raise prices on 2,105 products, with the average increase around 15%. For pensioners living largely on fixed incomes, repeated price increases can quickly eat into the household budgets. And this is where Japan's inflation paradox comes in. The economy needs prices to rise after decades of deflation. But inflation only becomes genuinely beneficial if incomes rise faster than prices. Japan has seen strong wage growth for 3 consecutive years, helped by an exceptionally tight labor market. The Bank of Japan says wage increases in the 2026 spring negotiations are likely to remain high following substantial increases in 2024 and 2025. That is the good news. Companies are raising wages, businesses are more willing to pass high labor costs into prices, and the government wants Japan to move towards a cycle where higher wages support consumption, higher demand supports business, and business investment drives growth. But retirees don't necessarily participate in that cycle in the same way. Their income does not automatically rise whenever companies raise salaries, so even if Japan's economy is becoming healthier overall, older households can feel poorer when everyday prices rise faster than their purchasing power. The consequences go beyond household budgets. The Bank of Japan is now dealing with a very different economy, one where inflation is no longer something it is desperately trying to create. The central bank has been gradually moving away from its ultra-loose monetary policy. Japan's benchmark rate is now around 1%, its highest level in decades, although it remains low by international standards. And policymakers face a delicate balancing act. Raise rates enough to contain inflation, but not so aggressively that they damage consumption and economic growth. That tension is increasingly political. Japan is an aging society, and pensioners represent a large and politically important section of the population. So the question is no longer simply whether Japan can escape deflation. It is whether the benefits of the new inflationary economy are reaching everyone, or whether older Japanese are paying the price for the country's economic revival. This is Bureau Report. WION World is One. U.S. is preparing to tell dozens of countries they must choose between Washington and Beijing in the global artificial intelligence race.
A U.S. draft letter warns countries they could be excluded from a U.S.-led AI coalition if they join China's rival framework. Now, the move highlights growing concern in Washington that Beijing could gain access to the resources needed to dominate AI.
The State Department has prepared the letter for 35 countries that signed a U.S. AI opportunity statement in June. It warns them against joining China's competing AI framework.
Now, the move builds on Pax Silica, a U.S.-led initiative launched last year to secure supply chains for AI models, semiconductors, and critical minerals. Around 24 countries have joined Pax Silica, including U.S. allies Japan, Australia, and South Korea. But Kazakhstan has joined both the U.S. initiative and China's rival coalition, setting off alarms in Washington.
The U.S. wants to reduce China's access to the resources that could help it build more powerful AI. Now, that includes critical minerals, semiconductor chips, and AI models, as well as its supply chains and computing infrastructure needed to develop them. Pax Silica also seeks joint projects and coordinated export controls, with the long-term goal of reducing reliance on strategic rivals.
China, meanwhile, is building its own international AI network. In the month of July, President Xi Jinping launched the World Artificial Intelligence Cooperation Organization, prompting China's open-weight AI technology as an alternative to U.S. influence. Now, the rivalry comes as Chinese open-weight models make rapid gains against proprietary systems from U.S. companies including OpenAI and Anthropic. Tata Steel has sold its entire stake in Indian football club Jamshedpur FC to Churchill Brothers for a token amount of 100 rupees.
The Indian Super League continues to face questions over its commercial viability. The league media rights valuation has fallen down from $28.7 million to $900,000. Major conglomerates continue to exit or restructure their holdings in the league, with Manchester City owners exiting Mumbai City FC last year.
Now, the token 100 rupees price is a nominal consideration for transferring Tata Steel's entire equity stake. Jamshedpur FC's net worth was actually negative minus 5.8 crore rupees as of March 2026. So the sale is essentially Tata Steel handing off a loss-making entity rather than winding it down, which would have cost players and coaches their jobs and killing the ISL license. Now, the sale comes just days after Tata Steel said that the club would not participate in the 2026-27 season, with the likes of former captain Sunil Chhetri pleading Tata to reconsider it. Subsequently said that the club's operations would be shut down.
However, now Tata Steel has signed a share purchase agreement with Goa-based club Churchill Brothers. Now, the deal includes a transfer of Jamshedpur FC's Indian Super League sporting license along with contracts of its players and coaching staff. Churchill Brothers will take over the contracts from September 2026, including those of 12 players and 2 coaches. The Goa-based club will also take over Jamshedpur FC's sporting license to play in the top flight ISL. And Peter Parker has done it again. Spider-Man Brand New Day has officially crossed the highly coveted $2 billion mark worldwide, securing its place as one of the biggest cinematic events in recent history.
Directed by Destin Daniel Creton and starring Tom Holland in a more mature, street-level take on the beloved web slinger, film has easily surpassed the lifetime gross of its predecessor, Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, the film's meteoric rise of $2 billion was fulfilled by a combination of a massive domestic debut and incredible staying power across major international markets. North America remains the film's largest market. Now, the move has generated over $785.8 million for the movie from the region itself. Meanwhile, the United Kingdom and Ireland, which have traditionally been strong territories for Marvel movies, contributed $87.4 million to the international haul. Well, in India, the movie has crossed over $65 million within its first 3 weeks of the release, making it the highest-grossing Hollywood film in Indian cinematic history.
Now, crucially, the film experienced a colossal box office resurgence in China. The movie earned a phenomenal $203 million as of mid-August, after delivering the biggest opening day for a Hollywood superhero film in the region in 7 years. China has quickly become one of the most vital international territories. At present, the movie has earned $265 million. Spider-Man, Brand New Day, is now the highest-grossing Hollywood release in the region since 2019.
Well, as the box office numbers rolled in, industry analysts and fans alike celebrated a monumental milestone for the exhibition sector. Reigniting the global multiplex, Spider-Man Brand New Day has officially been crowned as the very second post-COVID Hollywood film to earn $2 billion worldwide after Avatar: The Way of Water.
All right, that's all on World Dinner for today. News and updates will follow on the other side. You're watching WION World this one. Do stay tuned.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Cola Spa at home.
Robots sparring for a fight, not for entertainment or for sport. Surgical arms that can feel to give surgeons a sense of touch. Traditional warships are facing flotillas of unmanned vessels. The smartwatch is passé, smart bands are just as effective at monitoring health. Put a ring on it this week on Take It Out at these times.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Cola Spa at home.
Robots sparring for a fight, not for entertainment or for sport. Surgical arms that can feel to give surgeons a sense of touch. Traditional warships are facing flotillas of unmanned vessels. The smartwatch is passé, smart bands are just as effective at monitoring health. Put a ring on it this week on Take It Out at these times.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Cola Spa at home.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned to WION. I'm Samiksha Srivastava. Let's begin with speed news. At least 19 people were killed in drone and missile strikes in Russia and Ukraine, which destroyed a book market in Kiev, while Moscow faced one of the biggest attacks since the war started. In Russia, swarms of Ukrainian drones killed 5 people in a residential area in the southern Rostov region. 3 more people were killed in the Belgorod, Kursk and Moscow regions, and 4 others were killed in parts of Ukraine occupied by Russia. Also, Russia's defense ministry said it had intercepted 822 drones across the country overnight. A barrage of Russian drones and missiles killed 2 people and wounded 14 others at a steel plant in Zelensky's hometown. A protest in Kiev called for the return of Mikhailo Fedorov as defense minister and for greater dialogue between the government and the Ukrainian people. Hundreds of people gathered near the Ukrainian city where people were seen marching the presidential office and then towards Ivan Franko Square. Protesters were awaiting a response from Parliament as it resumes work next week, including decisions on the leadership of the Defence Ministry. The US president has instructed the Pentagon to reduce joint military exercises with South Korea. He said that Seoul had declined to join Washington in the denuclearization of Iran. He wrote on Truth Social, and I quote, "Based on my very good relationship with Kim Jong-un of North Korea, I'm not happy with the fact that the United States had agreed to participate in joint military drills with South Korea." Trump said that it was too late to cancel the drills this year, which are due to start, but that he's instructed Defense Secretary and for Pete Hegseth to substantially reduce them. President Donald Trump said that he is pleased by the recent signing of a defense pact between Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Pakistan, calling it a big, bold and important first step. Trump said it shows how the Middle East, rather West Asia, is coming together and how countries will finally be able to defend themselves in a more meaningful way. The 3-way defense agreement was signed on 7th of August. The pact has been signed amid the backdrop of US-Iran war that has extended violence in the region, including Iran-backed Houthi rebel attacks. Dozens of Hezbollah supporters gathered in Janat al-Hazra cemetery in Beirut's southern suburb for the funeral of a family of 6 members killed in an Israeli airstrike in southern Lebanon. On Saturday, Israeli airstrikes in southern Lebanon region killed at least 11 people in the deadliest attacks since a truce between Israel and Hezbollah went into effect on 20th of June. Lebanon's health ministry said that an airstrike that targeted a home on edge of Ansar village killed 7 people, which included 3 children, and wounded 2 others. President Donald Trump's West Asia envoy Jared Kushner has held talks with Hamas to discuss the implementation of US-backed Gaza peace plan. Last month, Trump's Board of Peace had said that it had reached agreement for the complete disarmament of Hamas and other armed groups in Gaza. Last week, Israel rejected Trump's 15-point plan, which also calls for Israeli troops to withdraw and Gaza to be rebuilt under a new civilian Palestinian administration. 8 Muslim countries issued a statement on Sunday that condemned Israel's rejection of the peace plan. Pope Leo XIV called for an end to ongoing violence against Palestinian civilians in the occupied West Bank and urged the international community to advance a two-state solution in the Israel-Palestinian conflict. Until recently, Israel was striking Gaza nearly every day. According to Gaza's health ministry, Israeli attacks so far have killed more than 1,200 people since an October truce deal came into effect. A day after a 7.7 magnitude earthquake, rescue teams in eastern Indonesia recovered 6 more bodies, raising the death toll to 53. Authorities said many of the thousands of people displaced spent the night outdoors in fear of aftershocks. Rescuers dug through debris looking for anyone buried beneath landslides triggered by the quake across 6 regencies on floors. More than 900 houses were destroyed and 450 more damaged in East Nusa province, forcing about 5,000 people into temporary shelters. Brazil's two main presidential candidates kicked off their campaign, rallying supporters in their political strongholds. Ahead of October election, President Lula da Silva spoke to more than 10,000 supporters in Sao Paulo. 80-year-old Lula insisted that Brazil needs more of his policies. Flavio Bolsonaro, who's one of the sons of former President Jair Bolsonaro, gathered with thousands of voters in Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro, his father under house arrest. Following his conviction for an attempted coup, did not attend the rally. Brazilians will vote for the next president on 4th of October.
O Brasil vai vencer, porque eu vou indicar 4 ministros do Supremo Tribunal Federal.
A section of Kenyan opposition politicians held a series of rallies in Homa Bay County, which were attended by large crowds of supporters led by Nairobi's Senator Edwin Sifuna. The movement, dubbed Linda Mwawa Nanshi, which translates to Safeguarding the People, has become one of the opposition factions that has been agitating for political change from the current regime ahead of the general elections in 2027. President William Ruto has been facing increasing pressure to vacate the presidency from such opposition movements. Protesters gathered in Ceuta to demonstrate after Morocco beefed up security along its border with Spain. Calls had resurfaced on social media for mass crossings into the Spanish city of Ceuta that raised concerns of another surge similar to the one last month, where tens of thousands of migrants rushed the border region. The border remains closed while Defense Minister warned against any new attempt at a mass entry into Spain's North African enclaves. Official tallies say that at least 80 people had died in the border rush in late July, while human rights groups have reported higher figures in wake of these crossings. A passenger bus travelling on a highway in Hungary went off the road and into a ditch where it overturned. 12 people have been killed in the incident and several others remain injured. The bus, which carried Polish license plates, overturned around 140 kilometers east of Hungary's capital Budapest. In a statement, police said that it was likely that the driver fell asleep, which caused the accident. The driver of the bus has been arrested. Hundreds of people in Pakistan took part in nationwide protests and marches organized by the Islamist political party Jamaat-e-Islami against rising fuel prices, higher taxes and soaring inflation. The demonstrations also highlighted local public concerns and called on the government to provide relief measures for citizens who've been struggling with the rising cost of living. Protesters carried banners and chanted slogans against inflation and increasing petroleum prices. Party leaders said that the growing economic burden on ordinary people has made it difficult for many families to meet their daily needs. At least 7 devotees were killed and more than 10 others injured in a stampede at the Ashok Dham temple in Bihar's Lakhisarai district. The stampede took place after an electric wire reportedly snapped, which triggered panic among the crowd. The incident took place around 6:45 a.m. local time as a large number of devotees had gathered at the Shiva temple to offer prayers on the third Monday of the holy Shravan month. A complaint has been lodged with the Delhi police seeking registration of an FIR against Congress leaders Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi. Complaint was filed over alleged disruption during the rendition of the national song Vande Mataram at an Independence Day function at the Congress headquarters on 15th of August. The complaint alleges that Sonia Gandhi appeared to make gestures and communicate with people present in a manner which indicated an objection to the continuation of the rendition of Vande Mataram.